Peace, peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. We're not going too far in the future. And of course, we're not going too far in the past. Right now, matter of fact, right now, what I want to speak to is being in the now. Well, now is the vibrate, the moment. Because right now, we're starting to realize, ye are God's children of the Most High. We are responsible for creating our physical experience, with evidence of the subconscious mind, ruling 99.9% of our activities and how our mental runs, that's a fact. You look at the double slit experiment, if y'all go look that up, but basically experiment that showed that our conscious awareness on atoms actually make them turn solid. Like the electrons was moving like a wave, but then when they start to observe the electrons, then they start to, move like matter. So you also have that evidence. But, again, we, are responsible for the manifestations in our own, experience. And the reason why I'm speaking on this is, just to give this little alert and just a reminder, more so should I say, a reminder that, as much as our spiritual growth is about, growing at our own pace, it's never about rushing, but do realize, pay attention to the difference in you, like forcefully slacking and procrastinating, compared to going with the flow. Because, you want to go with the flow, you don't want to rush, but just be aware of, if it's any part of you that's kind of like really trying to hinder your growth or hold you back, and then using it as you're just taking your time, like basically like where the unhealthiness of your spiritual growth is being used as an excuse of like, I'm just growing slow. Like don't let our lower nature and egoic mind play us into thinking that by doing certain negative activities purposely, to a certain extent, that we are just, we just on our growth, taking our time. Again, things happen on our growth. And of course, sometimes we may go back to dealing with a certain energy, things of that nature. But what I'm really wanting to speak to is that we are responsible for our experience and even dealing with, the government. Because again, right now, they have created a situation with the new age spirituality of, having people think, because matter of fact, and that was a good, shout out to my brethren, Brad. And he said he heard this from a Mark Passio video, that it makes sense. And matter of fact, and how like all the magic, even dealing with OTO, that's why everything is so much about sex magic too, because it's about opening up the sacral chakra, having us over emotional. So it's like an indirect play where it's like you thinking that, it's tapping into the emotions, the divine feminine. But not if your sacral chakra is like, overspinning while your other chakras aren't. Then you kind of in this place of just, being kind of like over emotional and speaking to like where it's more unconditional love to be, cutthroat about, quote unquote, cutthroat or straight up about information. Like the moment in which I catch myself in some videos where I done babyfied information. Again, I made a video apologizing for that, because that just enables more of that human moralistic ego in essence, and not real spiritual growth, when we're not keeping it real about a situation. Unconditional love coming from the heart chakra is meaning, I'ma tell you what the fuck I have to tell you out of love, I'm not gonna, let me say it nice, because if you need something to be nice for you to be enlightened or wake up, then that's your fate. That's the fate right there. Like shit, you deserve what you're dealing with or gonna go through behind it. But again, they play on our sacral chakra, that creative / emotional sexual area. Matter of fact, creativity, sex creates another little, physical body on this plane of existence. But they tap in, and that's why like the OTO and everything dealing with, all the eyes wide shut, the sex orgies, the sex magic. This is also like sex magic is also stemming to them tapping into that set, and more so the set energy of like what they kind of created in the essence of, again, set is from the primordial mother, the primordial mother, again, that energy, and then him, set energies being masculine as well, is a embodiment of masculinity, also with the primordial mother. But then later on, again, when the dynastic or the dynasty start in Kemet in Egypt, they took Set and they changed them into, they changed his characteristics to a certain extent. And part of that was, he became homosexual, because there's a difference between androgynous and then, homosexual, but where he raped Horus, and again, this is a personification of energies, because even with them, creating it in a homosexual nature, still, in essence, still was just a personification of androgynous energy. But they had an agenda to word it in that manner to, create a certain type of vibe. But again, this is an expression of energies, and also the hermaphroditus energy. But I saw was in a Hollywood Esoterica book where somebody was speaking on the reason why, it's like them going like doing just the extremes with sex, and I get this though from a soul level, like of course I wouldn't like deal with the sex orgies on that level, but I get the logic behind it, as far as like, stepping outside your comfort zone, basically. That's what like the sex magic is, like, to just step extremely out of your comfort zone though. As a matter of fact, like again, doing things that that you normally, wouldn't gravitate towards. Let's just say it like that. But it taps into that energy again of just like, it's like kind of like, again, creating an ego death situation. So say for instance, if you straight, whether male or female, you getting into a practice of having sex in a kind of way, that takes a lot of just like dissolving the ego, or having sex in front of a lot of people, and again, as I'm saying that, I'm talking about, I see the logic behind it, because the way they're doing it may cause more trauma than actually taking you away from the ego. But that's the basis of, that's the blueprint of that conscious mind frame, if you get what I'm saying. So again, I'm not yay or nay for it. I don't, again, just being in that place of where I get the logic behind it. But again, with the government and that's what they was dealing with. Aleister Crowley. There's another brethren named, matter of fact, if I sit down and grab this book right quick, I'll probably bring it up. But, creating these types of vibes, with the sacral chakra, to make us vulnerable to all these little, new age spiritual tactics that they're using against us, But also getting to the aspect where we're starting off at ye are God's children of the Most High, where we are responsible for our physical experience, So if, that turning the other cheek, or like just staying positive, and I spoke to that recently in the video, just that positive reinforcement. If you break your leg, being positive about it is not what's gonna fix it. You have to acknowledge it's broke. You got to acknowledge the pain, the suffering, and then you do what you gotta do to fix it. You know, again, there's an asterisk by that, unless you are extremely skillful, you know, manifester, you know, where your pineal gland and your visualizations could heal things. You know, it's possible. Can't throw that out. But you know, for most of us in this moment right now, you know, we still working on those abilities. So again, if we was to break a leg or something, you know, just being positive about it wouldn't fix it. As a matter of fact, while you being positive and not fixing it is only getting worse. And that's the same situation with a lot of things that our government doing. You know, it's like, while you ignoring it and talking about I don't see color, you know, but at the same time you still gotta align your chakras with your colors. But but you know, dealing with this vibe of ignoring things that's going on around us, just causing more of it to happen, and you start to realize, like, all right, again, y'all, we gotta realize to be able to laugh at ourselves. Cause where it really boils down to is, well, cause say for myself, I realized that the new age spiritual movement duped me. Like, it had me being more nice than I should be. But I realized, and I'm like, oh shit, they got me. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be able to laugh at that, because one of the main reasons, because you see it with growing ups, especially I'm from the South, you know, Louisiana, old folks stuck in their traditions. One of the main reasons why people struggle to grow spiritually is because they can't admit that they're wrong about something and laugh at themselves for being wrong about it. You know, just look at when people stubborn and can't admit that they fucked up or something of that nature. Like, they, you know, they just stay stuck in a certain little area because they, you know, because they don't want to admit that they were duped or wrong, you know. And so again, just to, you know, bring in the awareness of, you know, there's a lot of new age side ops going on, you know, and to just be aware of it and to realize, you know, where the trueness at is, like, again, stepping out of that ego and getting more into our, you know, more into that heart chakra, more into that, you know, that place of unconditional love. Again, the way up is through the heart, you know, through the heart chakra, the Christ consciousness energy. You know, but again, like, this new age movement play on, like, because when we spiritually awaken, just like with anybody, you know, if I know some fish gonna get hungry in a second, you know, I'm gonna have some worms waiting for them, you know what I'm saying? So if I know some people gonna be awakening spiritually, you know, then I'm gonna set my little traps, you know, before a game. You know, like, in order to trap something, you don't wait till things start happening, then try to go around and throw a net over it. You know, like, nah, you got everything already pre-set up, got your little bait sitting there. You know, that's all set up beforehand, you know. And just like with the situation, like, they've been, you know, set up this situation. Matter of fact, again, shout out to my brethren, because he bringing this up again, where he's talking about Mark Passio and being connected with the Church of Satan, and the Church of Satan exposing to him, like, Mark Passio, like, when he was dealing with it, like, where he said, seeing all the different you know, agendas they had in place way in the 90s, you know, there was stuff that, you know, again, was going on right now, you know, there's different side ops and stuff like that. You know, these different yoga studios everywhere in LA that make you feel spiritual because you're doing yoga, you know, and I'm positive, and I'm, you know, not looking at what's going on in my hood, and, you know, and fuck my family. I'm trying to, you know, keep my chakras aligned, you know. Like, it creates a vibe for you to abandon, you know, anybody who's not vibrating on the same frequency as you, you know, but more so, again, abandon, like, when I say abandon, so again, it is a part of the growth for us to make sure that, you know, as we're growing spiritually, in which it happens inevitably anyway, you know, as you start to grow spiritually, you're going to attract certain people on a certain vibration, and you're going to gravitate towards certain areas, you know, because like I look at myself, like going back, dealing with certain energies, that's just me going backwards and trying to hold on to something, trying to hold on to something and grow at the same time. It's like, nah, you gotta, in order for me to move from right here, I gotta let this go, something that's right here. But, all these different avenues of playing upon, certain truths, just like a worm on a hook. Again, shout out to my brethren again. Matter of fact, I like to give, if somebody says something and it's either the first time I heard the analogy, I heard it said, and I like to give, that vibe. But like that fish hook, well, of course there's certain truth, compared to like a fake worm, you got a real worm on the hook, you see it, it's like, oh shit, that's a real worm, When you get close upon it and you bite it, it's like, oh shit, but it had a hook on there, And just a lot of this new age spiritual vibrations is basically like worms with hooks on it, They trying to catch some a school of fish, a school of spirituality trying to catch a school of fish. Matter of fact, right after the Pisces age and the Aquarius age, they're trying to catch some fish. But again, realizing that it's okay if you were, if you were following a certain situation and realize like, damn, they got me, because again, it's about us being extremely authentic. So if any part of our spirituality has us not being, again, because like our soul is like extremely authentic. We've been dealing with a human body with these human moralistic vibes for so long that we forgot how raw we are in essence, like in how the human moralistic system is also kind of made to turn us into, again, to passive slaves in essence. Just waiting for Jesus Christ to come back. But again, just realizing the responsibility. I ain't saying that again, if you're not ready to, or whatever the situation is, not saying you gotta quit your job, nah, or none of that. But what I am saying is, realize that, from 1 a.m. in the morning to 12, you say 12 a.m. at night. I mean, from 1 from 1 a.m. in the morning to later. Matter of fact, to 1 the next morning. From 1 this morning to 1 the next morning, and then continuously. There is somebody always constantly working to program your subconscious and keep you from, keep you from stopping their control. Something wants control of everything so badly that it is constantly like, of course it's giving you the show of like, oh yeah, we're not panicking, but they panicking right now. They like, bro, we gotta make sure that we enslave it, and something that's trying to enslave people or, contain people in this manner, that is never gonna let off. Like, this is a situation where they're not just gonna wake up 1 second and be like, oh, all right, today we not, like, nah, they're gonna keep pushing until it's just obvious that, all right, we can't fuck over them like that, so we gotta fall back, and again, that's why I'm so adamant about awareness, because the more people know about Dr. Sebi, the more people know about crystals and chakras, the less they could pull one over, and again, conscious awareness is like light on the shadow. The more light that you shine, the less the shadow exists, so it's just a whole situation where, again, realizing like all that turn the other cheek and being overly nice, again, that was them preying upon, you know, say for instance us having this archetype, you know, because different archetypes of the psyche, you know, matter of fact, Carl Jung, you know, so they got Carl Jung, you know, work from dealing with the Gnostic papers, so they know what time it is, but they know that, you know, when people start waking it up, like, all right, we've been subconsciously programmed to deal with church most of our lives. We've been programmed to deal with church most of our lives. And so, you know, when coming out of that blueprint, you know, to a certain extent, because and some of us really don't know how the subconscious truly works and how, you know, and some of us not aware of the situation of hopping from the skillet to the frying pan. Well, again, we think we're doing something different, but it's the same thing with just a different name, and it just looks different. But it's still, like, again, skillet to the frying pan. The skillet burn you just like the frying pan, but just one got a different name. You know, like, instead of church, New Age movement, but it's all, you know, gonna keep you locked down and keep you from spiritually liberating yourself. Again, and also check out my videos on dystopia, the dystopia and Aldous Huxley. But again, this is just a message of, don't forget that we are responsible for our physical experience. And, like, be real with you, this lifetime, you know, there's some of us, a lot of us on this planet, in which that the numbers continuously increase, that, you know, definitely feels like this thing is gonna shift. Like, we're not gonna not let it not shift. Like, it's gonna shift. But, you know, it definitely would, you know, be better and move along more swiftly if we, you know, we had more people in this awareness, you know, collectively, you know, and realizing, again, it's up to us. You know, they want you to go. Again, I'm not knocking, you know, because again, if you spiritually adept on that level, there's some level too, just sitting there meditating and working on the astral planes that does work. But again, they trying to get us to a place of just completely ignoring what's going on around us and feeling like if I just stick my head in the hole like an ostrich, you know, maybe things will clear up. Like, nah, when that ostrich take his head out of the hole, it gets even worse. Like, if you run in water in a bathtub and you put your head in the hole, you come out of it, the house is gonna be flooded. You know what I'm saying? Like, so again, all these different facts that point to when you ignore problems, they only get worse. You know, there's no proof of, like, any scientific proof or anything where if you just ignore problems, ignoring problems fixes problems. Like, there's no place with that. Again, and there's a difference between, you know, ignoring something but then not always having your conscious awareness placed in that area, you know. Like, I'm not ignoring the situation with politics and the government, but but at the same time, I'm not always having my conscious awareness focused on, you know, CNN or, you know, these different little avenues of them pushing that out, you know. Like, but I deal with it, you know, for myself, but not on that level. So again, you know, not saying like we're ignoring certain things. We're not saying that I gotta catch where I was just at. I was speaking on, you know, people ignoring things and how ignoring things never fix anything. Oh yeah, that's what I was speaking to. So ignoring things does not, you know, fix it. But at the same time, you know, we're not ignoring it, but at the same time, you don't want to overly give it conscious focus either, because you're going to manifest more of it, you know. So it's like having a conscious awareness of, like, this is what's happening. The government is trying to, you know, implement homosexuality into the school system, you know, or the government is trying to do this. Like sticking my head in the ground is not going to help that situation, you know. Going to, you know, drum circles and taking acid and hugging trees and just doing just that is not gonna you know, fix anything. Like again, and you start to realize root chakra, like that's why it's so important to have all our chakras balanced, especially the root, because it takes some physical work. We're here physically, you know. So I mean, we're actually doing some things in this body. As much as all of us would, you know, or a lot of us, you know, would like to float away. It's like, nah, we here to take care of a certain task. So again, you know, things don't get fixed through completely ignoring them. And matter of fact, speaking to what I'm speaking on, like, in which I wasn't saying completely ignore things, which I was speaking on it the way I'm speaking on it now, but I was leaning more towards the vibe of like, well, yeah, as much as possible, you know, you don't want to focus on, like, say for instance, like what I was talking about, like the Alton Sterling shootings and stuff like that, because which again, you don't want to focus on it, but you do want to have awareness of it, and in some cases it's meant for you to speak up, you know, and give it that conscious awareness, you know, compared to where again the New Age movement, let them tell it like, oh, you going back to negativity, or you being negative by acknowledging that, you know what? No, you know, because again, while everybody constantly being overly nice or whatever, shit, the government constantly trying to make their moves, and that over niceness, you know, that's not what's gonna stop it, you know. You know, it's again, awareness of what's going on around us. Really, you know, taking inspired action. You know, being in alignment with higher self and source, you know, and then connecting with spirit, and the spirit gives us this intuitive impulse or this urge to, you know, this inspiration to do something, and then from there, you know, we do that, and then it have us line up with some more synchronicity that inspires us to go on to the next spot, you know. But again, to the people taking time with the spiritual growth, just make sure, you know, it's the actual vibe of you taking time on your spiritual growth, and not using that quote as far as taking your time as an excuse to really just, you know, go backwards and not really grow, you know, to kind of just do some, you know, to kind of stay in our old self, but then kind of be like, well, no, you know, I'm just taking my time, like, because now is the vibrate, you know, the longer it's like procrastinate, like, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna help save the world, or no, tomorrow I'm gonna help save the world, or tomorrow I'm gonna help. And again, saving the world not in the essence of like, oh, I got to go out and save the world. No, just you being in alignment with the source within. It just by default, in essence, you're gonna be in service to, you know, what's going on in this realm, you know. Especially, you know, with root chakra grounded, so you're fearless, you're courageous, you're in your physical body, and you care about it. So that means you care about what's going on and the things that's affecting, you know, your physical body, you know. But, you know, again, having that awareness, knowing what's going on, because again, the only person that, you know, that you have to blame is you. You know, if oh man, because again, and you see how the church got some people where, you know, God gonna take care of me, or God gonna do this, or God gonna do that. You are God, you gonna do it. Like, well, you know, like I heard people was like, you know, I'm gonna travel, but that's only if God say the same. Well, shit, your traveling depend on what you say. If you feel like oh, it's too hard or this, then guess what? God says that you should travel. But if you know that, you know, shit, is me making this happen, of course you're co-creating. Of course there's higher energies involved, you know. But again, It's all the extension of yourself, and there's no outside sky daddy, that's controlling everything in that manner. Like, you are your near immediate universe, your physical body, and about a little 4-foot radius around your body at least, is your little zone, of what you manifesting in essence, you know. So again, like that waiting for God vibes, like ye are gods. That's why, and again, you shall perish for a lack of knowledge, and again, like, by you not acknowledging the God within and source, and and then Christ had to say it again, is it not written in your law that ye are gods, to remind you motherfuckers, excuse my diction, of what you are, It's like, bruh, and that's love there. What the words of God, of the true source in essence, actually slip through the cracks of a book that's actually trying to harm you and kill your soul, like that's beautiful right there. And you see, that's kind of where, like, how you could say that the Bible does have certain truths in it. Ye are gods. But somebody got you selectively paying attention to certain aspects of that Bible. But ye are gods. All of our physical experience has to do with the programming of our subconscious and what we are thinking about. The vibrations that's occupying our body manifests externally. If you want to see something different in your external situation, then change your internal situation. Do the inner works. But again, just realize now is the vibrate, not tomorrow. You keep tomorrow, the next thing you know, everybody gonna be in concentration camps. And I'm jokingly saying that because, again, to the point where I almost didn't even want to joke like that, but we good. But again, we have to, stay upon our purpose, constantly ascending and aligning with our higher self, aligning with the source within, because again, us coming down here and being occupied by ego, again, takes us completely away from our true purpose. You come down here and you locked into your ego and being scared to, to expand and to be yourself, then you're just gonna be another little, because think about it, whenever we, we're in this vibe of being just following tradition or just going with our flow of just our comfort, staying in that comfort zone. In most cases, when we're in our comfort zone, we're not really truly, being ourselves. Like, we're, like, say, for instance, the comfort zone, getting a little job, regular 9 to 5, and this and that, like, and not knocking 9 to 5s and stuff like that, because people still doing what they got to do with that. But it's like we get into this, I want to say, like, this cookie cutter vibe of, like, just being the same as the rest of society, But again, we came down here to be, our unique, true, soulful selves, and carrying out our soul purpose is not in the blueprint of our egoic mind. Our egoic mind is trying to hinder that purpose. And so you start to realize in your, in life in general, anything that hinders me from being in alignment with my inner source, anything that's trying to scare me, like, if any information is like, be scared of this, be scared, you better be scared. I'm gonna say it about 1,000 times just so you could be scared of it. That's not, again, and that video might say spiritual, how to awaken spiritually, but if they trying to scare you, then, again, it's what, and that's why it's so important to be connecting with the heart, and intuition, so that when these certain little flaky vibes of information come through, you kind of could feel it in your heart. Like, your mind might say, well, yeah, I'm spiritually growing, so let me go do this. Like, again, looking at myself, like my mind say, hey, I see spiritual people attend drum circles. I see spiritual people do this. So, in order for me to be spiritual, let me do this, not realizing again where a lot of this was a setup by, this new age movement, like, basically a social engineering situation, just like, no matter of fact, dealing with the Tavistock Institute and LSD and MK Ultra and mind control with old Aldous Huxley over there and a few others. Talk about how Aleister Crowley used to slip mescaline on people. Matter of fact, and that's how Wormwood. If you go watch the docuseries Wormwood on Netflix, where they kind of speaking on the MK Ultra vibes and how they would just kind of be slipping it on each other, like just gangster with it. They call us in the hood gangsters. I like, man, stop that. Y'all brethren is ruthless. But then dress it up as, we're scientists and politicians who care about the better good or greater good of existence. It's like, nah, science never gave a damn in essence about at least from a European aspect of it was always about just dissecting some shit or never really about like a spirit science, connecting with it on a higher level. But again, y'all, we're just not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. And being able to laugh at yourself, being able to, admit like, oh shit, I got duped. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause again, you realize the people who struggle with spiritual growth or growth in general or struggle with maturity is people who can't admit their wrongs. People can't admit, then they just gonna stay in that vibe, and it's only gonna get, worse when somebody feel like, oh, I ain't apologizing. I don't feel like, when it's something they know that they really, it's like, well, you gonna kind of stay in that vibe. Like, say for the way I'm nimble, like with astrology, whether it's sidereal or Western, like I'm not locking myself down into any one. At this point, like the way I deal with it is like, hey, the Ophiuchus vibe seemed like it's something new, but the Western thing was established, again, not hitting the hammer down on anyone, because again, that the ego would, once the ego would, lock into a certain level of astrology, then the ego has to protect itself. It identifies with this, and the only way to continue to identify with it is to, be against other aspects that threaten its principalities. When you talking about Ophiuchus, it's like, oh no, like that, my identity and my whole way of identifying myself is not with Ophiuchus. So get that compared to stepping out of that identity and being like, and stepping in the spirit and be like, well, hey, even though I haven't dealt with that aspect, it may be some truth to that. You know what I'm saying? But you can't do that whenever you in your ego and like, it's like, oh no, like, but I was taught this. My mama took us to church, and my mama ain't no stupid person to be being duped by some religion or something like that. So I don't care what you say. If my mama followed Jesus Christ in church, then I'm following it too, because it gotta be right. And it's like, again, your stubbornness, instead of just being like, well, you know what, we were slaves that were owned by people who pushed the Bible upon us. When we did, have our own ways of religion before speaking English even, so maybe it's possible that, that this Jesus character didn't really exist, that maybe the Christ energy exists, because there are ancient aspects speaking about the Christ, maybe that did exist, but not this Jesus character. But again, you won't be able to acknowledge that or get to that place if you're being stubborn. If you like, oh no, like, my mama, daddy, sister, cousin, all of them from down the line always said it was like this. And again, it's going, keep you more and more locked down, different aspects, again, that I had to realize, again, the over niceness. I'm like, oh shit, they got me. Because two, it was part of my own being though, like, well, I'm just kind of little generally a person that's, nice in an authentic manner, and like in a type of vibe where I see the vibe of I just rather smile and clown. Then I'm also like a comedian in essence. I always do like to laugh and make other people laugh. I'm not that person that's just looking to be like mean all the time. So that's not my cup of tea. But at the same time, I am a person that is very stern when it's time to be stern. Like when it's time to be serious, then it's time to be serious. But again, I had to admit, like, damn, they got me, But again, if I would have been like, oh no, like, cause then I would then stay identified with something that I know is hindering me. Cause indirect, when I say I know, my spirit let me know, like, bro, you hindering yourself. But the ego, like, nah, fuck that. We're gonna stay right here in this position. We're not switching up. Cause I'm not gonna be wrong. Cause again, whenever, that's another aspect of obviously being in your ego too strongly. Feeling like, cause this is right. Like, only this way is right. Like, if you feel like only like, this one way is right or wrong, it's like maybe dipping into the egoic vibes, It's like mama on her deathbed, she on a little machine. Some of the family could say pull the plug, let her transition, stop letting her suffer. The other part of the family, got a different perception of, like, we want to let her stay on the machine, for whatever reason. Neither one of them are right or wrong. They both speaking on their perception of how they view the situation. Neither one of them are right or wrong, because it's just experience. So, and when you see spiritual vibes, our ancient indigenous vibes teach about, like, not being in this human moralistic system of right and wrong, this and that, Again, we are gods. We are, beings that, transcend, the human body and human morals. Like, we don't, we naturally on such a conscious level where nobody needs to tell us, like, like, moralistically, you shouldn't harm your mother. Like, naturally we just, come out, showing love. And if it wasn't for the government and all this situation putting us in hospitals and and throwing shit in our eyes as a little baby and spanking us on the ass and throwing up the beginning developments, which are very crucial to our growth, if it wasn't for them fucking up the beginning of our existence, we would be even more in alignment with our family and with these different vibes. But again, just being able to admit when we're wrong. That if anything to leave with this is being able to admit when we're wrong about certain spiritual information. Because again, this new age shit has been thrown like all over the place. Like I spoke recently about, like, Easter egg hunts. Where, you as a little kid, you picking out the Easter egg, and you like, oh shit, cause you don't know, like, in your head, you think the Easter bunny done passed through the backyard and you done caught a little treasure, like, bro, I got an Easter egg, not knowing that was your parents that put that Easter egg out there. Or in this situation, you thinking you came across some information or this truth or this something that's gonna help me, when it was a little Easter egg put out there by the government to kind of get you closer to their agenda. And Star Wars and the movie Dune kind of speak to that vibe of, like, putting, like, where the government exposing itself. And again, I talk about that in my Eyes Wide Shut video, like, it's sort of initiation. By them exposing themselves, it brings you closer, further into their trap in some cases, Because matter of fact, there was a Star Wars my brother was talking about where the Sith Lord was kind of like putting his own information out there to to allow the Jedi's to find out where he was, but just so it could be a trap. You know what I'm saying? For them to oh yeah, we're getting all this information, but it ended up being a trap. So just be aware of the traps that they have out here. Again, it's very important because we move into, again, definitely important to know of this and be dealing with this, making sure, again, that we're not falling victim to any little new age curveballs, going into the year 2019 and then following 2020. We want to be constantly cleaning up this, situation. Again, they're trying to create a situation where you have a docile slave that wants to be a slave. Again, go look at my dystopia videos and speaking on Aldous Huxley. So it's like creating such a situation where you have so much quote unquote what you think is luxuries, because again, somebody like a cell phone, oh, that's a luxury. There's some people, again, they didn't look at how much they got you into their mind frame. Like, oh, it's a luxury to have a cell phone, this and that. There's some people that don't have a cell phone. There's, and matter of fact, how they try to throw us against our own indigenous nature. There's people in the wild that don't have a cell phone and this and that. I know they got their pineal gland open, which is way greater than a cell phone. You're right. You know what I'm saying? Again, like, oh, the cell phone, that's a luxury. Everybody's not privileged enough to have a TV and have their brains fried by lower vibrational waves. Everybody's not privileged to have Wi-Fi fry the honeybees around the world. Everybody's not privileged to have a 5G network to lower their vibrations every second. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are not luxuries. Again, dystopia. And what was the name of Aldous Huxley? Aldous Huxley novel was A Brave New World, I think it was called. And which in his little and again, dystopias is kind of like the Matrix, Hunger Games, all these different types of videos are basically showing you that dystopian type of aspect. But this is what they're trying to create. Like, oh man, did you see what with Tesla? Tesla just came out with some type of robot that could do this or that and the other. Again, you thinking, oh, it's cool, this and that, and like, nah, next thing you know, everybody gonna be ran by robots. Or like, go watch the movie Surrogate. I was just telling my brethren that, surrogates, where the people would just stay in the crib and they had this robot go out and do everything, but they're trying to make people lazier, have people not communicating with each other. Again, make it to where we being harvested damn near like on the Matrix, like the humans is being harvested by the machines, and that's what they trying to do. The government working with some type of beings that would rather have this environment, more artificial as possible. But also they know that they gotta fuck over you, but they can't. Like, if I don't feel like doing no work, I can't kill all my slaves. I'm gonna scare them and let them, make them feel like I'm gonna kill them all. But at the end of the day, I'm really not trying to kill them all. And two, they can't throw us off too much. And I spoke to this in the Dan Winters video, where like if they were to oppress and throw us off too much, it would mess up the energy fields, extremely bad. Like they basically it would make it to where they would need, again, where it'd be hard for them to even exist, because they just running everything into the ground. So they know better than that, so that's why, again, they use you, not just running you into the ground in one. Just like the hospital, it's like they're not just running you into the ground. It's like, shit, nah, I'm gonna give you a little bit of this poison, You're gonna take that, you're gonna get addicted to it, and you're also gonna have some side effects that's gonna have you asking for something else. And then you come back later like, oh yeah, doc, that that Xanax, it was this and that, but a bad memory loss and this and that, and plus I this just all kind of aspects. Well, here, take this such and such for your memory and this and that. Which, like with ginkgo biloba, what I take from my memory, ginkgo biloba is a straight up herb. It's not no pharmaceutical, you know, poisonous drugs mixed together. But again, it's like they make a customer. It's like it's better for me to create a situation where you constantly coming back and think about it. What else if a being is trapped in the physical realm? The only thing that being is gonna love and deal with and be able to deal with is physical things. And you see, that's why everything is about, dissecting something or, enjoying physical things, like as far as like trying to physically fly a rocket, it's like that's all some certain beings could do is be connected with this physical plane. And misery loves company, so they trying to make everybody be on the vibe of like, well, yeah, the end all be all is the physical existence. Like, no, it's not. The end all be all is the physical existence for some of us, but not all. Speak for yourself when you're talking about somebody that came from a monkey. Speak for yourself. But yeah. Again, trying to get you on with these vibes and making it seem like, oh man, it's pretty cool, it's pretty cool to let robots run everything, huh? Like they're constantly trying to create this mind frame with making it, and two, that's where you start to see that little chess game again. Well, to a certain extent, like I see why, like the conscious community does feel the way it feels about some, people in entertainment and stuff like that. I say conscious community, but it's because like I think about Jaden Smith, who was like not it's like what's the brethren that created Tesla. Elon Musk is like the greatest, like basically, kind of promoting the people who promote the transhumanism and keeping us locked down as mate, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but then back door and make a song about, connecting with the spirit and this and that. And again, you start to see there's a real serious chess game out here, y'all. So, again, now is the vibrate. We want to be moving right now to make sure that we, bringing awareness up within our being, which trickles into bringing awareness up outside of our being, and then affecting our, basically manifesting into, basically being the change we want to see. But it all starts right now, not tomorrow. Again, and think about it though, like when you tomorrow. But then when you're dealing with whatever your procrastination brings, you got to deal with it. That's the whole thing of like, people deserving their punishment. Like right now, sources on some like, fuck this, I gave everybody enough of time to see whether things was fake and what's not. Right now is the time where you have the chance to become so strongly aware like never before. So it's like basically giving a blueprint to like no excuses. Like the information all on YouTube, everybody, like it's multiple different people talking about chakras, crystal, so again, you have no excuse, to not be a part of, not be ascending your soul, or to be falling victim to the new age movement. It's like, nah, I've been giving you clues all since the beginning of your life. If you don't follow it now, that's on you. Like, that's what's going on right now. Again, this is no picks and choosing. Like the melanated people, if you too much in that Western European mind frame, then you going down with that beast. You know, a Western European that's connecting with indigenous vibes genuinely, and connecting with their inner source, and raising their vibration, they're gonna be connected to that energy, because again, I tell people, regardless of what the bodysuit look like, there is neuromelanin. So regardless of how heavy the skin melanin is, there is a neuromelanin as well. But again, it's like, again, melanin carbon is just a part of the situation, but that doesn't make or break whether you ascend or not to an extent. It's again, the awareness to not be duped, basically, because again, you could be blacker than tar on the street, but if you fall into the ignorance of what you've been taught by European Western society, then you're gonna fall. So it's just like, hey, I done gave you enough of signs. I done gave you enough of information and signs to let you know what it is. So you didn't follow your intuition. I've been since you was a little kid. It was a cartoon or a show or something that had somebody meditating on it or this and that. Like all different little signs always in our face. Just when we acknowledge it and start to grow from it. But just be aware. Ye are gods. Your situation. Again, we're part of a collective, but it all starts with you taking care of your situation first and foremost. What's the work that you could do first and foremost with anything? Starting off is always with yourself. Michael Jackson, Ashe. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking, could he change his ways or her ways? Or the woman in the mirror again. Woman, the man, the woman in the mirror. Because if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. I'm going to leave on that note. Matter of fact. Peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now.